Okay, so the council update. Thank you for those of you who said, oh, bumpy start to the new year or whatever. It's okay, actually. I'm not surprised that they put in the application to the court right before Christmas, knowing full well that the Christmas holidays would take out a massive chunk of my reply time, and I was very unlikely to get any legal advice at that time. However, as it stands, Mishka, come here, lift your leg. As it stands, I didn't need legal advice because I'd already got that straight in my head as to what I was going to do. So, for those of you being chased by the council, what has surprised me is their underhandedness. And what people have said is that they've just paid it because it's easier, etc. So what I'm going to say to you is, have a look into things. So what has surprised me is not just the underhanded thing of making you do a court objection letter right before Christmas with no legal help. That's a normal legal tactic, is go for somebody at the worst possible time. My ex-husband handed me court documents to take me to court right up on my mum's death and funeral. It is normal legal proceedings to try and get you when you're down, because you're more likely to just give in, comply and pay them. So I'm not surprised at that. Same with reporting me to Child Protective Services. They didn't even know anything about me or the age of my children. So reporting me when my twins were just a month away from 16 just made them look really stupid, petty and malicious. But it would have been a very different matter if my kids were under 5 and didn't have a voice for themselves to say, sorry, they're just making this up and they're doing it because they are trying to financially bully my mum into paying more money than she owes. So those things I understand. But what I ask you to challenge, do a VOA claim. I haven't done one yet, but I'm going to. Because what I didn't notice is that they've also changed my property banding without any notification, very sneakily, and they're not allowed to. But they've done it. And what they've done is they've changed that ever since the dispute started. But I can't figure out when they've done it, on whose authority and blah, blah, blah. So check your council tax banding, because we quite often don't check these things. We just sign up to the next year's direct debit and then don't realise what they're chasing us for. The other thing that they've done is, I have it in an email in writing off one of the council members saying, well, we've removed your single adult discount for the last year because you told us somebody over 18 was now living with you. Now, I have all the paper and electronic communication trail very well preserved. I've been happily single for 15 years. I intend to stay that way. So there's absolutely no way that that little white lie has any truth in it. And the whole fact that I'm fighting them for inflating my bill kind of doesn't make sense if I then am arguing, well, why have you removed my single adult discount and you're charging me more because I don't owe you that? And then arguing that, oh, well, you said someone's living with you, because then I wouldn't be arguing that I should be having the single adult discount, right? So check your discounts. The other thing I noticed when I was doing the court objection letter, which I lost a whole day at least for, but I shall be charging them in court for that day. One of the things I've lost and never realised until I put the objection letter together is that my annual bill for 2 or 3 years was actually different for each statement bill that I got sent through. So it wasn't even consistent. You know, the overall annual amount for that year has consistently changed in different statements that they've sent me. So there's no consistency. Now, whether or not you apply a tax reduction scheme, single adult discount, or anything, the overall amount for that year, for that banding, for that property should remain consistent for that year. Yes, it goes up year after year because there are a bunch of idiots who don't know how to manage money and have no education. As I've said to you before, they're the bullies out of school who couldn't get any other job. So then the council goes, oh, we'll hire you, you don't need to know anything, you just fiddle about with other people's money, lose it, and then put the price up when you need more. But if you get a council tax bill for 2020 to 2021, for example, and then you get reminders, you'd expect the overall amount to be consistent. So, you know, the procedural failings and defective service that they have been providing is just shocking and appalling. But check your banding, check your discounts, and check that any reminder letters have the correct and consistent annual amount, because those are discrepancies that I noticed when I was doing the objection. With the objection letter, he's still there, Kia. With the objection letter, if you don't object, it automatically gets attached to your house. So you have to do that. You have to put in the time to do that. I'll be really shocked if the court allows them to go through with that because of so many failures. But don't worry about me, because my worst case scenario is I'll get my day in court. The council will be forced to disclose the monthly figures and charges for all the years they're chasing me for. And because they've inflated it and they have no proof that anyone over 18 is living with me, and they've done it maliciously. And actually in his email, and this is what I put in my objection, he said he just removed it for the last year, but he's actually removed it right from the beginning and gone back in previous months. So if I go to court and prove that they've done that, which I can when the judge forces them to disclose it, because it won't match my paperwork, it won't match the paperwork they've sent me, then my worst case scenario is I will have to pay a fair and just amount of what I'm supposed to owe, with the single adult discount attached and the correct house banding and blah blah blah, and hopefully minus my invoices, or at least a fair amount and chunk of them. And I can't believe the judge would just discount everything because they've really acted so badly. But I will be surprised if on this attempt the court allows this to go to court, because it is just shocking. And because the council refused to work with any mediation or intermediary, that should, by all accounts, stop a court from getting involved. But these courts are being pawns in the game of the councils, and the councils are playing all victimisation. Oh, I'm a victim, all these people are refusing to pay our little bills, and oh, it's really upsetting. And it's like, well, it's because people are starting to get clued up and realise what you're all flipping doing in these councils. It's not a tax. They are corporations. They're not part of the public government body. And it's dressed up as a tax. And then there's no control over how much they can put it up by and alter it. And I can't honestly believe how much they've inflated it, just for me personally, but also for all of us in the UK since the pandemic and lockdown. So anyone who has a home, if you're doing what I'm doing, and we're all looking for a really good, confident way that gets them off our backs, don't risk your home. So make sure that you put the money aside, so that if you have to pay them to save it being attached to your home and forcing bankruptcy, then you do that, because that's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to allow them to risk my home. But what I am going to do is make their lives as hard as I possibly can, and make the entire task as difficult as I possibly can, and find a route that brings some justice to the UK people if I possibly can. And that's my goal. Stop pulling, Maya. And not moving. Gonna pull, not moving. So that is what I'm trying to do. And it's a beautiful crisp day today. Loving it. So be careful, because they do have every man and his dog supporting them, and we are not allowed a voice. We are not being heard, and it's really, really bad, actually. So I'm hoping that the courts just stop playing their stupid little games and being little pawns in their chess game. But I guess the court's view of it is, You know, they're going, oh, please help us, because people are just not paying their bill, and they're doing all this straw man and freeman of the land and blah, blah, blah. And then the courts are going, oh, flipping heck, if we punish enough of them, you might get away with it. But we'll see, because I hear all these stories. I never see any proof, you know. I don't see people who've actually lost their house, but then I don't see even more proof of people who have gotten out of losing their house. So if I can't get out of it, I will just pay the fair amount, not everything they are extorting and bullying from me. So I've got nothing to lose, really. We shall see. So watch this space. And for those of you who own your own home, it's a lot more risky for you. So make sure you put it in a trust, make sure you save up the money, and make sure you're really careful. And you have to put it in a trust before the enforcement starts, otherwise it will just be undone. So if you haven't already put your home in a trust, then you need to, otherwise you're too late. There are things you can do afterwards, apparently, but I don't know yet, because I'm just learning. So I hope you found this useful. Do check your banding, the consistency of reminder letters for the overall total, and yeah, and if they've changed the banding sneakily, which they seem to do when they're chasing you. And it's almost like they sit there in their little dingy office and they go, oh, right, okay, well, if she's going to be like that, let's change the banding so that the overall annual amount goes up, and we'll get a little bit more out of her for the hassle of having to chase. Noted, clocked, okay. So that's my warning to you. Take care, everybody. Bye. Have a lovely January.